How is your summer going? Do you feel like you're happy, kind of happy, not so much, really sad? I'm a mixture. I'm a mixture because sometimes as a person, as a mom, as a grandmom, I fall into this situation where I'm only about as happy as my least happy beloved. And one of my beloveds is having a bit of trouble in paradise with a primary relationship. So that's been a little weight on me. And then the other reason I've been looking at this topic, ways to increase happiness, is because my sweet, very kind, wonderful husband of 42 years passed away about 25 months ago. And so that piqued my interest in this topic. So I've been looking at, reading, investigating a lot of things, and I have found about 6 really kind of cool science and spiritually based practices and procedures for increasing happiness. So I want to share those with you in part 1 and part 2 of increasing your happiness. So I'm wondering if maybe you've seen the 2 movies called Inside Out. They are Disney Pixar offerings, and they're about the internal workings of an 11, 12-year-old girl named Riley. And 2 of the main characters in Riley's head, these personified emotions, are joy and sadness. And joy sounds like this. We're going to have a sunset tonight. It's going to be great. There's never been another one like it. I hope I have someone to share it with. And sadness sounds like sunset, big deal. Happens every day. They come, they go, like we do. It's all going to die. So they are just polar opposites. But in the movie, part 1, they get separated. And the one cannot function without the other. So happiness needs sadness as the counterbalance, and sadness even needs happiness as her counterweight. And I was thinking about this physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and I'm thinking this is like God, like our creative ultimate presence, like the energy, the light, and the information of this universe of universes. We can have a gentle breeze or a tornado. We can have a gentle wave we can float on, or we can have a tsunami that washes away your house. We can have the lovely sunshine of dawn, or we can have the blazing heat in the middle of the day. So these dichotomies, these paradoxes, these ironies, whatever you want to call them, they are just part and parcel of really the unity of life. It takes both to have either one. So I've been thinking about this, looking at a way, like, can I just tip it a little more toward happiness to deal with some of this counterweight of sadness? Still going to be there. I get that. Still going to have a tornado of emotions, but just a little bit. And I happened upon the research of a woman named Tali Sharot. She's a Brit. She lives in London. She's a cognitive neuroscientist at the University College of London, and she wrote a book called Look Again: The Power of Noticing What Was Always There. And she did a podcast on this on NPR. And the first thing she talks about, our first methodology, is to be open to change. Does that sound familiar, metaphysicians? We say be open at the top. To me, that's be open to change, be open to variety, be open to things that are novel, that are different, that get us out of a rut or a routine that's no longer serving us in these physical, emotional, spiritual ways. So my proof of concept, oddly enough, has been in the last month and a half or so, summertime melons. So my proof of some of these concepts, oddly enough, has been the simple example of summertime melon, cantaloupe. So I'll tell you the first 3 things. They are to introduce variety into your life, and then to interrupt the enjoyment of your new item, and then thirdly, to share it. So through cantaloupe, and having my grandkids and my daughter live with me off and on all summer for hockey camp, I can enjoy this. I don't eat cantaloupe in the winter, so it's new and novel to me. I have some for breakfast, some at lunch, maybe some later, so I take pauses in between my enjoyment, and thirdly, I share it with the kids. So this checks all of the boxes of increasing our happiness. So let's dive a little deeper into each one of these. Firstly, why is the variety so important? Well, our brain weighs 3 pounds, and it is always surveilling what could be new and different, what could be a threat or an enjoyment. So when we find something that's enjoyable, dopamine is released, that happy, happy hormone. And that's what we can come back to because we as humans have, spoiler alert, short-term memories. Sometimes very short, like being able to hide your own Easter eggs and then go find them short, you know? And so we can come back to something that's pleasurable, and it's like double dipping, get to enjoy it all over again. So that's why doing things that are out of your norm are so good for our brains and our spiritual beings. So cantaloupe's a silly example. I have a better one that came up last night from a person in our healing support group. But we can invite and entertain and welcome changes in the people around us, in our perspectives, in what we're seeing as prospects or possibilities. It can just be anywhere and anything. And to me, again, this mirrors what my little 3-pounder conceives of as one of the characteristics of God, the generosity of the divine. I can get out of a rut and go a different way. Possibilities are there, always and always. In a way, it even reminds me of that old Bible verse in Lamentations 3 that says, the Lord's mercies are new every day. Every day we can change course. Love that. Okay, the second item is this weird one about interrupting our happiness to take breaks. So the research that Tali Sharot did on this was to interrupt 2 things with her study participants. She interrupted their favorite songs, and she interrupted their massages. So she had a nice little cup of green tea there, and she would ask them beforehand, do you want to hear your favorite song start to end or have it with breaks? And they said, don't break it up. Let me listen to it, sing to it, dance to it the whole way through. She didn't. She broke it up. Their happiness was increased because of that looping back and enjoying it all over again. So that's the second one. Take little breaks, interrupt yourself, and then come back to what it is that's bringing you joy. And then the third thing is the sharing. Sharing it increases our joy on those 3 important dimensions that are critical in successful aging: the meaning and the mattering and the having mastery. So the study that Tali Sharot did on this was with people to whom she gave $5 for each of 5 days. And the choice they had before them was to either keep it, get a cup of coffee, get a new pen, whatever, or give it away. So people tended to keep the money the first few days, and then they started giving it away. And people said, what's this for? The givers would say, a cup of coffee, a pen, whatever. And then in the study of the results, the people who shared actually had an increase in their happiness because the sharing meant that they mattered to someone, that gave them meaning in their own lives, like I find value, meaning in that I am a person who shares and cares. And then thirdly, it provided them mastery, like the life mastery class we teach here at Mile High, over their own sense of self-esteem. They could have it go down or stay the same. So those I just find fascinating, that we can increase our mental health, we can increase our physical health even. I mean, we have 50 trillion cells in our body, and they are renewed, you know, in phases every single day. And as we're feeling happier, increasing that little bit of happiness, we're more of a gift to ourselves, to the people we love, I think to the planet, to our country, a gift back to creative ultimate presence, which imagined us, brought us here, evolved us, and sustains us in every moment. So I just hope that you'll have fun experimenting with these, whether it be with silly cantaloupe or something more important to you, and just try infusing what you're doing with that sense of variety, with breaking it up a little bit so you can come back to it, and then sharing it with others. Let's take all of that and more into prayer, shall we? Oh, just centering in within our uniquely divine, amazing body temples with a deep breath, an inhale of receiving and an exhale of releasing. And we're just knowing in this sacred moment of the eternal now that we are receiving so much in great bounty. We are receiving the air we breathe, the water we drink. We are in receivership of the incredibly awesome way we're made. The electrical impulses that are the energy and the electricity of spirit, the ones that transport thoughts in our minds from neuron to neuron electrochemically, and the ones in our heart that keep it beating. We are in receivership of possibilities, new perspectives, new prospects, new opportunities, new experiences. And I just speak our word of gratitude for that, for all this bounty and all of this abundance, knowing that the source is inexhaustible. It is like being able to dip and dive in the very ocean of being, with safety, with security, with freedom, with the knowledge that we will float there, we will be held there. We are indeed wrapped in the arms of spirit, of that poised presence and power. And we can be in gratitude for all that we can do with these possibilities, all the gifts that we have been given, whatever they are. Whatever they are, however they feel to us. We are so uniquely made, but we are all waves on that divine ocean of being, created and held in that oneness, that beautiful unity, that unity of differences, of dichotomies, that somehow, some way, just melds it together into the possibility of having one beautifully extraordinary spiritual experience and adventure of the divine. As we unfold, as we walk our journeys of all types, physical, emotional, relational, financial, certainly spiritual, we just know that we can do that alone, but it's better in concert with others on a similar or even joining on our path to support us, to nurture us, to encourage us, to instruct us, to enlighten us, if you will. And I speak a word of gratitude for all of that metaphysical help that surrounds us. And I release this now just into the wonder-working alchemy of that law of circulation, knowing that everything is created beautifully twice, once in our minds, in our hearts, in our spirits, in our souls, and once in kind. For this and for so much more, we simply say together, and so it is.